Alright, so I'm going to show another handle. We have the coil handle, the pulled handle. I have videos for those. This one was a handle that a student came up with and I've really enjoyed in the last couple of years. We'll see how it withstands the test of time, so I'm just starting with a ball of clay. But we'll see how customers like it at the craft fair. We'll see how my students like it, how I like it, how people I give it to as gifts or bartering with at different shows. We'll see how everybody likes it. Personally, I think it's a great fit. My dad taught for 37 years, and he focused on ergonomics, which he didn't coin it or phrase it ergonomics, but he always wanted to make a more comfortable fit as far as the handle goes. And so he focused on it all 37 years, and obviously he'd gain over time things that were preferences. As far as like the arch of a handle should be closer to the mug, so you're not holding it so far away so it doesn't feel so heavy. Different things that make a mug more comfortable. And if you're making a handmade mug, it's literally one of a kind. You'll never be able to make an identical match to it again. Even if you were to make a mold, you can make identicals to that mold, obviously, but none of them will be exactly like the first one because it's going to be a little different size, the glaze is going to change, everything. So every single mug you make or buy that's handmade is always an individual. Thus the pricing sometimes. Okay, so I've got my little, it's kind of a carrot shape, if you will. Little carrot shape. I'm going to flatten that out. But yeah, this I feel like is one of the advancements I've made over time. Technically, my students have helped me with this. So as far as the ergonomics of mugs, so my dad's old country style, which I'll show you in a second once I get this rolled out. But his old country style handles, they're beautiful, they look nice. They don't fit a really modern style thrown mug though. So that's where the adaptation came in from one of my students. So like this one has some really sharp lines to it, both in trimming and in the lip as well. It's caved in or tapered in by a smooth rib. So the old country style wouldn't look very good on this. It would kind of stand out. So what I like to do too, something else that I've developed over the time I've been teaching, is I taper the sides with my roller just to give the appearance that it's a little thinner, but I don't want it to be so thin that it chips, and I also don't want it to look super heavy or bulky. So that's why I leave it thick for sturdiness, but I also give the appearance that it is a little thinner, a little more elegant. So this is cracking a little dry piece of clay, so I'm just going to add a little water to it. Then I'm going to pick it up by the tail end, down here. So say for the sake of the country handle, I'd cut this at a 45-degree angle. This is the coil handle. I have a video on that as well. But I would take this, and I would tilt this up, like so. I'm going to go very slowly because this piece is a little dry. So this is the old coil handle. I'm not going to give too much mind to the shape because I'm going to change it in a second, but it would be stuck on the side here like this. And some of the things that my dad would go over were the fact that it needed to be closer. Like right now it's in a 7 shape. You wouldn't want that. You'd want it to be, you'd want the arch up here at the top so that it holds a little closer to the mug, but your knuckles still weren't touching the mug because you don't want to touch something that's potentially very hot. So that was the old way. So the old way was, like I said, half a heart shape, or like an ear shape. So you see it's half a heart. So one of my students, just being a student, wasn't attempting to do this on purpose. He decided to tuck that under, and thus the upside down handle, we call it. So normally this would be the top of the handle, but now, so the old school way, if it was the half a heart shape, it would be here. But we flipped it over, and now I'm going to score and slip here. First I'm going to see that little sharp edge. I want to get rid of that. I'm going to numb that a little, just so it's not so much to clean up or make it look too off, if you will. And I always like to go for a little bit of precision, but at the same time it's handmade. If you want dead on science, maybe 3D print it, which we're getting there. We'll see if 3D printing ever matches. That's the fear of every potter, but 3D printing is getting pretty good. Right now the ceramic wares look like top ramen, but in time I'm sure we'll have some ceramic wares that are created by computers. So I'm scoring slipping. I really don't want to do the top because I don't know where the top's going to go yet. So sometimes I don't really score and slip that or score that until later. So I'll add my slip, which is basically just water. I always stick the bottom on first. So the bottom, I'm going to stick that on. Make sure it's nice and straight. So you can see this side is tilted up. I want to make sure that I straighten that out first. Okay, so you can see why I call it the upside down handle now, because it would have been the other way. This is usually on the top, towards the top of the mug. But now I'm going to take my finger in here and I'm just going to press back and forth, but I'm going to do it with my thumb because it's a little easier angle. I don't end up with an uneven handle. Okay, so now that that's pressed, I can do the top. So now I can score the top because I know where it's going to go. I know that the top is going to sit right there, and I'm going to arch it up in just a second, but I got to score it first. So now before I really stick it on there, I want to see if it's straight and in line, which it's not, so I'll straighten it out. Never just falls into place for you. If it does, perfect human. Okay, so now I'm going to squeeze it to give a little bit more room for the fingers. And then I'm going to really squeeze this on just to make sure that it stays, it's sturdy, it's nice and stuck on the side of the pot. And this is where that arch comes in still, that I learned from the country style handle from my dad. But the arch is super close to the pot, but it's going to hold away. So I can use this as like a thumb tab, and it'll hold away from my mug. And now, of course, I want to really refine my handle. I don't always go into such detail on all of my videos, but when it comes to a handle, it's something I feel is really important to really clean up around it. So I get a little bit of water, dab it on the table, and go around it. Not only does it clean up, make it look nice, it's not just for aesthetics, but it's also for function. It really makes the handle stick on there because you're really just making more slip and kind of blending some of the little sharp edges that might be on your handle. So you can see as I'm getting in there, kind of dissolves it down a little further, gets rid of any sharp edges. I can also get rid of some cracks in this handle. And don't shy away from, like on this one, I'm looking at the small cracks. One, I could go back and really get in there with the paintbrush. I may even take this handle off and redo it. I'm not afraid to, or as opposed to doing that either, because I really want this handle to be nice. I always get students who want to kind of give up at the end. They're like, I've been doing this for long enough on this one piece. I'm done. Well, whatever you do to it and don't do to it, you'll see it's going to be permanent once we fire it, and you'll wish that you had made those corrections. I do it all the time on mugs. I'll see one, I'm like, ooh, the handle's slightly crooked. While I don't mind a little character to it, I do want it to be as nice as possible, and some of those things just really irk me or bug me, and I'm not even the OCD type. I'm not overly clean, and I don't get it too hyped or too excited about making everything perfect. I do know it's handmade, but at the same time, there's little things. If it bugs you, then it's forever. In which case, you could sell it, I guess, and give it to somebody else in hopes that one man's trash or one woman's trash is another person's treasure. So now I'm just kind of checking it, making sure if there's anything that sticks out. Make sure it's nice and straight. Kind of check it from both sides. So there is the upside down handle. Okay, upside down handle, the other side, on a regular coffee mug. Okay, nice and trimmed already. So that is the latest and greatest. We'll see, like I said, if this stands the withstands the test of time.